What's up, everybody? Today, the setting. We are going to be going through the Hawaii saga, if you will. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think I could put this more into context for you than what we've got. And, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say. Oh, man. Today's going to be something else. So, we're going to go through what happened in Hawaii. This is the most, I think for me, the part where it was the most intense because of the questions, because of what I didn't know was going on, the fears, the worries, the doubts. And yeah, I'm going to be taking you guys through a little bit more. I'd like to show you, because I'm just a visual person. So I'd like to show you Hawaii and give you a little bit more context of everything. So we're going to jump right into it. I am seeing you guys pop in. I did start 30 minutes early, and that is my fault. So mods, I am sorry about this. I started a little early today. I forgot to change the time. So we are going to dive in today. Now I want to go over the timeline from my perspective, and I want to talk a little bit more about what was going on. So early in January, I got the call from Lori. Well, actually, that's the worst part. I didn't get the call from Lori. I was calling, and I was told by my sister and my cousin. And I didn't know what was going on. I was very upset. Obviously, I didn't know what to think in that moment. It was a lot of information to worry about what was going to happen next. I was angry at Charles. I was angry at the situation. I didn't know what was going to happen to my family. And this is, so originally Riley was due on January 27th of 2019. She ended up being born February 5th. So this is all very close to this time. I've been over kind of what this timeline looked like when it came to like what happened when Tylee and I went to go get, and Kelsey. So Tylee, Kelsey, and I all went to go get JJ's pills from Charles, and he was like, I'm going to call the cops. And I was like, why the hell would you call the cops on me? Like, why would you call the cops on Tylee? I didn't have the context. And so a lot of these things didn't make sense to me. Well, Lori takes off, disappears. And this should have been an early warning sign to me, but I just didn't think of it as an early warning sign that she disappeared without telling anybody where she was. And then Tylee went back to Alex's. And that's when I found out when Tylee came back to Arizona where Lori was. So this is the island of Kauai. Okay. Now, when I was trying to explain it to you guys, it's just easier for me to show you. This is how this is laid out. Okay. Everything that you can really visit is on the outer skirt of the island. Okay. So you have to drive in a basically, I don't know what the word would be, but you have to drive in a all the way around. That's why it takes so long to kind of get from where we live, which was right here in Princeville, all the way down to the airport. This is where the gym was. And then this is the other side of the island, right? Where Lori and our family specifically was back in 2014 was here in Princeville. Now, yes, it's gorgeous. I think it's one of the most gorgeous places in the world. I'm going to zoom in and show you. It looks worse in 3D, but this is where we were in Princeville. Let's see where the entrance of everything is. Getting a little turned around here. Where's the statue? That's how I know where I am. I'm a landmark person. So if you ask me a question, I'm going to tell you by landmark. Okay, hold on. That is the condos. Hold on. That's one of the houses we lived in right there. Very flat. That's one of the houses we lived in. So we're very close. Where am I missing the long driveway? Anyway, so this is Princeville right here. Okay, it's on a golf course. And basically, I was trying to explain to you guys the other day, when we lived here, our house ended right here on these cliffs. Do you see this? So that's what I meant when JJ would take off. He would run to these cliffs, and I would chase him because he was the fastest kid I've ever seen in my life. So this is where she went, and this is where our family was. I'm trying to find my place here. I'm a little turned around. Central... Hold on, let me zoom out a little bit. Princeville here, Queen's Bath. Oh, wait. I think we're coming in from this side. Where's the main road? Anyway, this is where we were. So it's literally on the cliff. And then Hanalei Bay is down here. And so you have to go down from Princeville down to Hanalei, the Hanalei Bay. And this is Hanalei right here. Okay, so this is Hanalei Bay. If you guys saw the Netflix documentary, this is where we did the memorial for Charles, Tylee, and JJ right here on Hanalei Bay, kind of over in this area right here next to this river mouth. So it's literally right there where this pier is, where everybody used to jump off. Tylee has a bunch of GoPro footage. We literally did, I kid you not, right here. That's exactly what it looks like. It's very flat, just so you guys know. Anyway, so just for context, this is where we lived in Princeville. I'm having a hard time figuring out where I am here because it's all flat as a pancake and I don't see the statue. So whatever. Where's the edge? There's the hotel at the very end. And then this is the city over here. Anyway, so like I said, when you zoom out, this is where we lived in Princeville. And this is where Lori also came back to her friends that she knew and everything right here. And she went right back to where we had been. And the reason why it's such a big deal is because this must have been her happy place, but it wasn't just hers. Like, that was the thing. They used to visit all the time. Charles and Lori would take off for a week while we were teenagers, or at least older, and we'd be, watch while they got to go out to Kauai. So when they made this a reality, it was a big deal. Obviously, it was kind of a culture shock to go to Kauai. I ended up falling in love with the island. I fell in love with the culture. Like, it was so different, and it's beautiful. The reason why it's a big deal that she went here in 2019 is that this is where I think Lori started to really disconnect fully, because this is such, if you look around, it feels like you're in a dream. And I do say that it feels like a big deal because when you're here, when I use the word disconnect, I don't know if any of you have been here or if you've ever been somewhere like camping or something where you are completely disconnected from reality. I mean, it doesn't feel like you're in real life. You can ask Kelsey, when we went even for a short amount of time, it feels like you're in another world because it's so different. As you can see, there's really one road that goes anywhere. There's no real traffic, and you just roll around the island. But look at all of this. This is untouched. That's why there's nobody living here in the middle. Okay, and this is where they filmed Jurassic Park and all that stuff. Is there a way for me to spin this motherfricka? Can I spin it? 2D. Well, maybe that would be better for me to zoom in this way. Yeah. But so early 2019, she takes off, comes back here, comes right back. And then she goes, obviously, from here to straight to Houston. In that time, our relationship is tapering off, and we're talking less and less. I was really upset with her about how she was handling the situation. I was upset with how she was acting. And yeah, she just seemed very irresponsible to me, And I think it's hard because I had a really bad relationship with Lori in the sense of like feeling that I couldn't challenge her too much because there was a lot of backlash when I questioned her. So not only was there like a challenge in that, but I feel like I always was the submissive one. So if I got, really upset and I started actually voicing truths and opinions, she would get really upset and I kind of, I guess, come back a little harder. And then either I get really upset and we'd fight like cats and dogs, or it'd be more like submissive. Like, no, you're the best mom. Like I was just brought up to do that. So the reason why I want to make this point about all of the history of this is it's a very big deal because this is exactly where Lori brings Chad. Okay. So after everything happens, after Charles is killed, after Tammy is killed, 17 days later, they come back and they get married. I'm 95% sure down here. Okay. There's two places we used to go. Okay. And it was either right here at Nini Beach. It's very small. And we drive all the way down from here. You drive all the way around down, and then you come down to this spot right here. Actually, There's the golf course. I'm feeling like I'm getting closer and closer to figuring out where we are. Oh, wait, that might be it right there. That's it. That's the fountain. Okay, so you cross into Princeville. Yeah, this is it. Finally, I figured out where we are. So this is where we used to shop and stuff. And then you come down here, and right at this turn, first turn, goes into the gated community. Right? Because I'm like sideways, so I'm trying to figure out how this rolls around. Yeah. So you go straight through Princeville Playground. Yep. And then you go right here. We lived over in this area. Actually, we lived in these houses right here first. Yeah. So it's this area right here. Because the golf course was open, and this is yeah, that's it. This is exactly where JJ used to run. So just to give you guys context of how scary that is a literal cliff. I don't know how much more, like, look at that. You see that? That is the cliff. So it's a little cliff. And then we lived right here on this golf course right here. So all these houses, and I'm not going to tell you which houses, obviously, because now new people own them, but it was these houses over here against either this golf course or against the other side, which is still walkable to the golf course. So we walked and ran this golf course all the time, and then this is where we played. But like I said, literal cliffs. I bring up all of this to give you real context of the fact that Lori had a family that was living here that shared these experiences with her. And we shared these experiences as a family, and then she brings her mistress, I don't know what you call a man, whore, I don't know what you call it, but she brings her new cheating man with her here to this exact area. So there's nothing, not a beat missed when she gets back here. Now, with the reason why I needed to look for it is so I could show you guys where I think their condo was. So you leave this street, there's a gate right here. It's very grainy. Man, Google Earth, that's grainy. When you come back down here, nope, that's the wrong way, Colby. It's so hard with how grainy this is. Is that the condos? Yes, I want to say that's the condos. No, what the frick, bro? I think these are them right here. So they're very close to where we were. Now, obviously, they weren't going to get into those houses. So they went and got a condo right where our family lived, almost adjacent to it, a walk away. It looks big. It's really not big. You can get anywhere very, very quickly, especially with like how beautiful it is in walking. So this is where they were, right? You come back to when they got married, November 5th, Lori marries Chad, and it's 17 days after Tammy is killed. Okay. And then you have the beach photo. So we're going to deep dive into all of that. This was just the beginning, just so you guys know. What I pulled up is the OG video from Mr. Nate Eaton at East Idaho News. And this is the first thing I remember seeing. And it was one of the most deflated I've ever been in my life, because it's just that question. Everyone's now looking for the kids, and she's being chased into Kauai Beach. So let's watch this real quick with Nate. We're going to keep deep diving. We're not done. We're now at the point where they've ran back to Hawaii. They've gotten married, and they're at Kauai Beach. And I'm going to take you guys to Kauai Beach on Google Maps just so you guys can get a feel for it.
I'm Nate Eaton with EastIdahoNews.com in Kauai, where Chad and Lori Daybell were served with 2 search warrants just hours ago. Law enforcement officers from eastern Idaho, along with federal agents and the Kauai Police Department, pulled Lori and Chad over. They were driving a black SUV. They pulled into this resort where I am standing. They put Chad into one vehicle, Lori into another. That's when their vehicle was seized, and they had no way to get home.
I would pay anything to know if they thought it was over right there. I wish that would have been the end right there that day.
We had a chance to ask them so many questions that need answers. Lori, Nate Eaton with East Idaho News. Can you tell me where your kids are? Where are your kids? No comment?
She said, I never heard that.
They've been missing for 4 months. You have nothing to say? You're over here in Hawaii? Where are your children?
Come on, man.
Yeah, why don't you just give us a comment? Just tell us where they are. Chad, where are Lori's kids? What happened to Tammy, Chad?
This stupid ass face. Biting their lips.
Can you tell us what happened to Tammy? Why have you guys been in Hawaii for so long?
Look at him in the inside. and her on the outside as the protector. That's wild.
Listen, just tell people what's happening. There's people around the country praying for your children, praying for you guys. Why don't you give us answers?
That's great.
That's great. That's great that they're praying for you, praying for your kids. What? You have nothing to say? Did you do something to your children?
Her looking at him. He said nothing.
Are your children still alive?
Ooh.
That's a simple question. I've got 3 kids of my own. I can tell you every minute where my kids are at. Where are your children? What do you guys plan to do now? You have 5 days to get your children in front of a judge in Rexburg, then what? Are you guys innocent of any crimes? Have you committed any crimes? Chad, you guys have a lot to say on your podcast. You don't have anything to say now?
I never heard him say all this. I've never heard him actually do this.
Lori? Do you believe that you were instructed by God or others to do something for your children? If you could give a message to them, what would you say? Listen, if you just talk to us, we'll leave you alone.
The family's worried. Tammy's family's very worried.
Tammy's family's very worried. Lori, your mother, Kay, came out. Kay and Larry, they're offering a $20,000 reward for your children. And you're over here on the beach.
Her face.
This is your chance to tell your story. Nothing you want to say? One last chance right here? Anything you want to say to the people in Idaho? Lori, you have a lot of cash there in your baggie. Were you guys planning to leave Hawaii?
I can't believe they thought that they were safe in Hawaii. That's the stupidest thing ever. It's not like Hawaii is another country. Not that I'd advocate for them to get away with it, but they really thought they were just safe.
Were you planning to take off? And with that, Chad and Lori darted into this resort, and they still have not come out. Now, police have not said what they are searching for in that SUV or in their home, but one thing that was not found is Lori's children. JJ and Tylee are still missing. Tomorrow, we will have much more from Hawaii. For now, I'm Nate Eaton reporting for EastIdahoNews.com.
Yeah, he's sped up, by the way, just so you know. All right, so I'm going to take you down to Kauai Beach. I'm going to see if I can find it just based off the strength of what I remember. Okay, so you drive down, like I said, this is Honolulu. This is the tip. You go all the way around here, driving down. Zoom out a little bit, Colby. Kapa'a, it's not there. It's over here. Lahui, it's somewhere in here. Let's see if I can find it. Kauai Beach. I'm just going to search it because frick it. There it is. Take me right to it, baby. There it is. There is Kauai Beach. So you drive down all the way, and here's Kauai Beach Resort. Now, I've told you guys, look, you can see the sun panels where Nate just was, literally. If you zoom back right here, when they're walking out, all of those panels up there, this is literally it. And when you walk in, they literally just walked from right here, which is, I know you don't need to know exactly where they walked, but you just walk right here, and then they walk into the building right here, which is the resort. If you look at the resort, this is, and again, I always hit on this because it's such a big deal to me. This was like a very, not, I don't want to ever use the word sacred, but like this was just an important, more like staple of Hawaii to us. And the most important part about it is that we spent people's birthdays, Christmas. Kay came for Thanksgiving when Kay was there, and we had Thanksgiving at Kauai Beach with Kay with our whole family. So that's why this is an important place. So I always had two questions for them: is why were they having, why did they have a condo, which would have been very expensive, and then go to a resort? The only reason they went to the resort is because of the rules of the resort. As a guest, you can't like they don't know what room number you're in. They can't follow you around into the resort without the cops getting involved. That's the only reason they went there. I used to think, why would they go to a resort when they had a condo? It's because they could stay right outside their condo. In that area, the only gated part is the houses we used to live in, not the condos. You can walk up to the condos. There's no gates or like anything stopping you from getting in there. So that finally hit me the other day when I was thinking about this. And so anyway, I need to give you some real context. That's obviously very inside, but this is how I pictured this whole time. So during this time, I'm freaking out. I just saw this video. Kelsey and I are talking all the time. There's a lot going on in life at that time. And I remember thinking about the reason why Lori loves this resort so much. And in no way am I knocking them, so just so you know, but this is not like the best resort in Kauai. There's other really, really high-end resorts. Very, very high-end. This is not, I just don't want to make it sound like I'm bashing it, but it's just not the most high-end place. So it's not like the most luxurious place you've ever been. It's got the few pools. It's really nice. And then there's like a kid pool right here. And then this is like a little sandbar kid pool where you can like basically get in with your ankles. But you can walk straight to the beach. Lori would walk to this beach with her little headphones in, and she would dance all the way down this beach front right there. And that's all I could picture her doing, is her bringing everybody. And now that we know that Melanie Pulowski was there and not Serena, Audrey was there, it's just even weirder to know that this was like her base of operations, right? I don't really know why this is such an important place for her to bring everybody, but this is what she wanted more than anything, is to just be here. And I always wondered, what's the plan? How long did you think that you were going to be at Kauai Beach Resort? And remember how she was on the phone with freaking Melanie Gibb and goes, and then the prophets had to go into the cave by day and come out by night. Does this look like a cave to anybody? Hold on, let me zoom out. That looks like hell, doesn't it? Beachfront, nice resort, 3 pools, heated hot tub right there, water slide. That's hell. Yeah, that's hell. I don't know how they survived this. Okay, so going back into our timeline, I'm even going to go here and we'll look up Lori Vallow wedding photos. Here we go. I've never looked through these. Whoa. What the frick, bro? Hold on. I gotta fix this. I don't know what this is doing. All right. Thank you for being patient. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Oh, I guess I gotta be... There you go. Is there like a file? There's gotta be a file in here. Here we go. Sciatica. These are all the photos that we've seen. But this is right when after. I can't find any of these freaking... Where the hell are the actual attachments? This is called a deep dive. This is not what I wanted. Just the photos. Just the photos. How simple is that? Yeah, anyway, this is their photos. As you know, this is 17 days after. 17 days after Tammy. They're on the beach, enjoying their life. And the weird thing is they came back. So this was not where they stayed. It's not like they went there and stayed. They came back. There was a lot of moving around, right? So they come back late November. This is when obviously we get involved. And it's November 27th when they come through and they start asking, you know, where are Tylee and JJ? I call Lori. She says everything's fine. And I've told you guys this, I always regret this because like it just hurts. But it's like I feel like I tipped her off by asking her. I can't really blame myself for that. But unfortunately, I feel like I wish I would have been able to not tip her off, right? But whatever. So they left on between 26th and 27th, and they go back. Okay, this is when they have the money. This is when they can afford to get their condo, which, like I showed you guys, is within this range up here in Princeville. It's very, 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 very nice. Let's not even pretend like it's not unbelievably nice. Princeville is gorgeous, and it's the North Shore, and it's very, very nice. So I can't believe I didn't know that that little dot was the fountain the whole time. But yeah, you can see it's when you're up here, bro, and you drive to the inn. This is the resort. I think this is called, it used to be called the Sherrington. I don't remember what it's called, but it's one of the most beautiful places you've ever been in your life. And it's just a different world. That's all I'll say. If you've never been there, just imagine a kind of like a movie. Like you're just there and you just cannot believe what you're seeing. So, yeah, that's where that's at. And then finally in January is when she's told. So that's what Nate was just saying. She had 5 days to produce the kids. And that's what we're going to try to find now is, I think Nate just posted this. Valo. Here it is. No, that's his other one. Lori Vallows, I guess we'll say arrest. When was she arrested? This is it, body cam right here. This is when they served her. This is the serve papers right here. Oh wow, you can't even put up captions. So this is what we just watched. I wish I could see her. All I see is the car. She's just reading it like she's trying to figure out what she's gonna do. That's all that she's thinking.
Just having her some your cards on and everything.
Yeah. Go ahead, open up the side window here. AC.
What kind of vehicle is it? It's a black. We've got cautious seconds as well, reporters, whatever. Anybody else?
Well, thank you, Cheryl. All right. And this would be hard to sift through if we're trying to find it. Just that. Why don't we do Lori Val arrest in Hawaii or her court dates? I never saw any of this, so I just remember her picture. There we go. Skip over this. Freaking Michael Strahan talking about it.
With the latest on this story we've been covering for last.
There's pictures of her there. I hope they went and scared the living hell out of her. Oh, please try to talk to him.
Chad, any comment on Lori getting arrested?
ABC News finding Daybell following the arrest, returning to the
Close it
condo where
fast.
the two have been staying.
Hurry, get back in there.
Vallow's arrest comes 3 weekly producer.
It's a positive step.
You're gonna need just a bunch of information about it. That's crazy, bro. That's just insane. All right, here you go. We'll skip over CBS Morning. Her in Kauai.
Describing Lori Vallow as a flight risk, as she made her first court appearance on Friday. Jonathan Vigliotti.
Oh, she's 100% was a flight risk. If you would have given her, I don't know, another couple of, give her a little bit longer, I think they would have ran again. And I don't know if it would have been untraceable, but I think they would have for sure ran because that's all they were going to do.
Reports from Hawaii.
Lori Vallow is in a Kauai jail.
Like, look at that picture, bro. You see this picture, and then you see him. You're like, bro, he lost some weight. And he dyed his hair. Tell me that's not Peter Griffin reincarnate. Okay, here we go. We already see on this. Wow, is there no such thing as just raw footage? I don't want to hear all of you guys talk. All right, so that's where we're at here. Okay, she's arrested. In this time, I'm trying to figure out how I could possibly get in contact with her. So I call the Kauai jail. And I'll even look that up for you, just so you kind of know. It's very interesting because it's a very interesting place as you drive by it. I don't know what it's called. I don't know what you call it. All I know is it's over here on the way into town. So it would be down here. I think it's in Kapaa. It's somewhere on this main road. Man, I miss this place. It's so beautiful. Anyway, it's somewhere over here, but it's a very small place and it's gated. And every time you drive by, you see people out there playing like sports or something in like bright pink clothes. So, yeah, I don't know. And this time, I call the jail and I tell them who I am. And I don't remember what happened, but she was extradited very, very quickly. And after she was extradited, I remember Chad showing up, and that was the first time that I actually saw her. And in that hearing, let's see if we can find that one. First hearing, I guess. I don't know. Look it up. It was the one where she came in these clothes.
Lori.
Nope. I don't want to hear the report. But anyway, it's when she's wearing this stuff, and there he is. And I remember catching his eye. And I caught his eye because I was told, don't look at him and don't make a scene. And I looked over at him and gave him the meanest stare of all time. And that was what that was. So, but during that time, I want to go back and just give you guys context. I was first thinking, how could I get over there? Because I know where she is. Could I have a conversation with her? But I didn't want to talk with Chad. So that's where I was at. And I remember there's so much fear, doubt, and worry. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do with myself because I thought if I make one wrong move, something bad could happen or the kids could disappear forever. So like, what if I do something that upsets Lori and then their kids are somewhere in some kind of bunker and she, is like, okay, make sure they're never found or like they're not allowed to ever leave, something like that. I mean, there's just so many thoughts. Like that's one thing I'll never be able to bring into context here is the way your mind works when this is all going on. And it all seemed to happen, like it was over a long period of time, but it seemed to happen quickly too. Now, mind you, during all this time, the media is starting to catch on and people on Facebook are catching on. And this whole thing is blowing out of proportion very quickly. And all I'm trying to do is say, wean out everything else. Like seriously, forget Lori's past marriages, forget all this stuff. Please focus singularly on the kids. That's all that matters. Find them. I know all this stuff matters, but right now there's only one thing we need to put all of our attention and focus on. So I think there's a lot of feelings for me. I had been promised in a lot of those interviews that they were going to focus on Tylee and JJ, and then you get on there and they start asking you every other question. Like I told you guys before, I was, I guess, just too nice honestly, to say no and not just say, hey, we're not talking about that. We're not here for that. We're here specifically for what you said you came to do this interview. We don't need to have another conversation about other things. When we went out there, it's the first time that I had been on Dateline, and that was interesting. And that whole time, when she walked in that room, she looked past me and Kelsey, and she looked down at the end of the bench, which was, I think it was literally at the very end was Larry and Kay and then Brandon. They were all sitting together at the very end of the bench. And she looked past everybody and met their eyes and gave them the most evil smile. I'll never forget that. And that's when I felt like I was looking at a monster. I really did. And after that night, I want to say that night, I told them, let me get in contact with Lori, please. Like somehow, some way, somebody. I called the jail. I was like, just let me get in contact with her on a phone call. So I call and leave my number for Lori. And she calls me back, and I shit you not, the first thing she does, I'm going to try to imitate it the best I possibly can. She picks up the phone after all of this, months of no contact, all of this craziness, right? Randomly sending money in the middle of that when she wasn't talking to us. All of the things that she had done and never had said a word. Didn't care about us, didn't care about her grandkids, nothing, didn't care about her own kids, but obviously in that time we didn't know what was going on. And she goes, "Hi, Bubba, how are you?" And I broke down on the phone. I broke down. And I lost it, and I'm crying, and I'm like, what is the hell? Like, it was like reality didn't exist. She was fine. She sounded somewhat normal, and she seemed that she didn't care at all. And that started that whole situation. So from whatever this was, I want to say this was February. This was right before COVID starts. And I do mean like weeks before. Was it weird to see your mom arrested? Yeah, all of this was weird. This didn't feel like real life. And guess what? It has, when you're going through so much like this, it's compartmentalize everything, right? The kids need to be found. Now, then you deal with the next layer. Then you deal with the next layer, and then everything else. So I'm just going to give you guys a very small tidbit of how it was. It was like, here's the media that constantly wants to get in contact with you and get some kind of answer from you. They're showing up at our door with cameras and mics in hand. They want to know information. I'm like, guess what? I'm learning with you. When you break news is when I find things out. I'm not even hearing things very early on, right? And then you add in the public who doesn't know who's let's call it for a crude reference, players, and people think me and Kelsey are sketchy, so they're coming at us. There was a big news outlet that posted Kelsey and I's picture as Chad and Lori on their article. So people were coming to our Facebooks and literally saying, "Where are your kids? You look," like they were going at Kelsey's looks. They were going at me. They were really just like ripping us on our personal Facebooks because this huge news outlet used our picture from our honeymoon on their main, like as the thumbnail for their published thing. And so I'm like, did you not see that the name doesn't say Chad Daybell? It says Colby J Ryan. And if you look at the pictures for half a second, I'm not Peter Griffin looking in my 40s, dude. Can you not? Okay, I guess whatever. And then they were going at Kelsey's looks. And so it was bad, man. It was a hard time because nobody knew what to do. And, during that time, I showed you guys the video. I made the mom video when she was in Hawaii. And yeah, I mean, I had made a few videos. I uploaded, I think 3 videos, and one of them was the mom video, and that's where I addressed her. The only way I knew what to do. I didn't know what to do. It's like, this is only, then for some reason I took on that responsibility and thought to myself, I have to somehow get through to Lori. Like that was all I could think of. It's like, there's gotta be one person that can do it. I gotta see if I can get through to her because none of this makes sense. And little did I know how horrible it really, really was. I had no idea how bad things were. I couldn't have even fathomed it. That's why it's taken me 6 years to somewhat comprehend the volume and the gravity of the situation. So anyway, trying to compartmentalize that. And back to when the phone call happened, we talked all the way through that time. I would say a couple times a week. And I just asked constantly, what's going on? I was reassured all the time. She sounded so normal. She made it seem like everything was fine. She says she misses our family the way it was. I did too. I was telling her how much I miss Charles to her face. And she just made it seem like everything that I felt, she felt. And that was the worst manipulation I've ever been through in my life. And that was a really, really hard time because I was guaranteed Tylee and JJ's safety. Guaranteed it. Not just talked like, hey, they're good. Like, I was guaranteed. I asked, I think specifically to the T, I said, are Tylee and JJ on this earth, walking around, living and breathing? And I was told yes. So it was not a question. And, I was having bad dreams. I was worried. I mean, you have all the people coming in different comments and on social media, and some people are so callous. I'd like to take this moment just to say, if you're watching true crime or crime in general and you're reaching out to the people involved, just slow down, please, because you don't know everything, and you think you know what you know in that moment, but you don't realize how real it is for people. And I had people I had comments that burn in my brain. I had people being like, you're never going to find your siblings. There's worms coming out of those kids. Like, just shit like that. And I'm like, it's devastating, beyond devastating to hear something like that when you're not doing well and you're trying to hold out hope, whatever hope is there. I'm just going to fast forward past the Hawaii part just to give you guys context again. But when they called us in June, that the initial call was I think a state of shock. And then when we went up there and we had that conversation and we found out what it really was, I think it was like that split time in reality forever. That split time in reality forever. And I'm talking about this today and why we cover these trials and why we talk about this is because this all is real. This is real life. That's the woman that gave birth to me, that raised me, right? My family's sitting over here, people I knew my whole life, and it's real life. And lives were at risk and they were taken, and all of this is to hopefully shape a better life for others. I'd love to be able to see people who are victims in any way to crimes always overcome it and be able to move forward in life, no matter how hard it is. But it's a hard thing to face. It took me a very long time. I can tell you in 2020 that you couldn't have told me I'd be talking about this publicly, or that I'd ever find a community on YouTube against, because when I first saw the world's reaction to my family, it messed me up. It messed me up bad. And I had no way I could ever imagine wanting to be in any kind of talk about it publicly. And then I realized more and more that everybody already knew more than I did about my own family, about these details. And then obviously the trials came around and I just started to get closer and closer to, I think, acceptance and not numbing anymore. But I also wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you to everyone, because so many of you were praying for my siblings and for my family and for me. And that means a lot to me. And just because I saw the bad side of the internet, which I still do, it doesn't outweigh the good that is here today. So I just want to always bring that back to the good side of this. I've tried to dive into different places where Lori was mentally, and it's kind of hard to. I kind of just read what I see. And from what I see, right after this happened with Tylee and JJ, and after this happened with Tammy and they wanted to be together, I think Lori went to a mental place of complete checked out. I think that this is probably in her most disassociative state, probably was that 2020. I think that's when she fully, completely cut the emotions. Anything that she had left that was human, I think she just fully dove over. So, yeah, that's where we're at here. You know, that time in Hawaii was very short, but it felt like forever. It did. And I remember going back, here, I'll pull it up if I can. Let me see if I can find it. If you guys have never seen it, I'll just show the picture of it. Our Mother, Kauai. Let's see if that even pops anything up. Beach. I don't know if it'll pop up for anything. Maybe it is in the trailer. We're not going to watch the trailer. Man, frick dis. I guess they don't have it. Anyway, but yeah, that we went to Hanalei Bay, which was a very special place, I think, for anybody who's ever been there. This is Hanalei right here. It's literally gorgeous. And like I said, we were right here in the corner. I don't know why my memory is so vivid, but some of the scenes were shot right here. And then Kelsey and I walked out into the water with the leis, and we lit candles, and I got to say my piece. And the thing that's so hard about that is it was so real. And I remember being there and thinking to myself, I never thought I'd want to come back here. And we did. We went over to Kauai Beach, and I got to be there all over again. And what I remember doing there was refusing to let Lori's actions take away from all that good. Tylee and JJ and Charles and my mom and I and my stepbrothers, we had a really peaceful time in our lives here. It obviously was never perfect, but I remember that there's just a lot of peace here. And, you know, not just because it's beautiful, but like, I think you kind of, you're not in the normal routine in life. And so we had a special time. Like, I remember being in Hawaii with my family. It's probably the time I go back to first when I think of my family, because we just go to the beach and we just spend our time together. So I refuse to let Lori ruin that, and she can't take all the power and all of the things away from our lives just because she is who she is. You know, I can still enjoy and love the things that matter to me. But unfortunately, this was only done for myself, but it was used in that documentary to kind of, in my own opinion, emotionally end this saga, whatever. And that's very unfortunate because it was very real to me. So, yeah. But if you ever get a chance to go to Kauai, it's a beautiful place. It's not stained or tainted by Lori, and I refuse to let it be that way. My family had a great time there, flourished there. That's where JJ started to talk and make eye contact and all of those things. And so that's always going to be what I remember about Hawaii. And, you know, hopefully I get to go back one day and kind of just really be present there and just remember those things and enjoy it for what it is. So that is our video for today. You guys are amazing. Thank you, Whitney. It's okay. It's okay to you. I'm not gonna ever judge someone who's cussing in the chat because I've been going off constantly. Tonight is going to be Fun Friday. I'm gonna pick myself back up. Obviously a little emotional right now, but I mean, I'm kind of just in a weird place because it's just like good memories mixed with the salty, and yeah, it's weird. It's a weird feeling. Hopefully working through this with you guys is bringing some help to your life and kind of watching. I feel like I'm trying to show you how I'm getting closure, but I have you guys here. So there's a safety net for me in a sense. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but it does to me. I'm not just doing it by myself. I could research all of this by myself. I've had years to do that, and I don't want to without having us together. I hope that makes sense to you. So thank you. Thank you for being a part of my life always. Thank you for being a community. And we're going to have fun Friday night. There is a poll up. It's not really a poll. It's just like kind of let me know what you guys want to do. And I'll put that up and we can just have fun tonight. We'll just enjoy it. We need a little break. This has been a lot of heavy, a lot of anger, a lot of cussing. So we're going to have to we need a little outlet. So love you guys. I do appreciate you. I will see you guys all for Fun Friday tonight. Hopefully you can make it, and I will see you soon. Thank you, mods. Thank you guys for being here.